Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Authentic Sessions with BB. Today we're going to talk about fibroids, and we have with us on the phone Claire, who's going to share her story living with fibroids. And yeah, let's get into it. Hi Claire, how are you doing?
Hi, BB. My name is Claire, as everyone heard before. I'm in my 40s and I've been struggling with fibroids for the past 8 years.
Okay.
It's been a long journey, a very long journey. Been slated for surgery several times, haven't done it as yet either. But it has been a challenge living with it, dealing with it, coping with it, and even treating it.
I can imagine.
I've had better days, some days better than some days worse than some. Just to think of it.
Okay.
There are days when I first got diagnosed with it, I took it for nothing because I started having a lot of cramps, lower back pain, couldn't hold my pee because there was bloating all the time. And whenever it is that I'm on my period, that's when the worst of it came. I had heavy bleeding for days, some days worse than some, and it made life very, very uncomfortable.
Wow.
Doctor's visits. I'm not financially stable to do private visits, but when I did my private visits, the first set of visits I did was private visits, and they referred me to the clinic, which is a public system.
Okay.
And going to the public system, you're not seeing the same doctors every time you go.
Right.
So every time you went to the clinic, you would see a different doctor. They'd have to go over your file all over again just to familiarize themselves with your condition, and then give you whatever treatment is necessary. Medication up to a point, yes, but sometimes it made the bleeding worse. Mine aren't small, and they weren't small at the time. But where they were causing a lot of trouble. For instance, there was one in my uterine lining. And that was the one that was causing all the problems, the heavy bleeding, the pain, and everything else that came with it. That was the one that was giving the trouble. So I was slated for surgery several times, but as I've said before, I've never got to the point where I actually did surgery.
And the reason for that is because of your financial status?
That too, and the fact that they're not as large as some of the cases at the clinic. Because when you're in the clinic, they prioritize who goes first for surgery, who is more important, and so forth. They did do it on a case basis. If you're not as severe or it's not detrimental, then you would not be slated for surgery unless it was a case where it called for an emergency. And because of the financial strain, then, going out to do it public, it would cost a lot.
Yeah, if you would want to do it.
Yes, private. If I was, to go private, right? To go private instead of public.
Yeah.
And I had other issues as well, because I developed anemia, where my iron levels became low, and because the iron level is low, then you're not able to do surgery.
Right.
So even when I was slated for surgery, my iron level was low, and so they weren't able to put me through unless it got up. But every time it went up, as soon as the period started, it went right back down.
Do you
Yes.
care to say how many do you have?
At the time when I did the ultrasound, it was about 6 or 7 of them.
Wow.
They were placed all over, all over. But as I said before, it was that specific one in the uterine lining that was causing all the trouble. The heavy bleeding, the pain, and everything that came with it. That was the one that was causing most of the trouble. And I could know when it was going to give me, my period was going to give me a lot of trouble, because I started feeling the back pain and the tummy pain long before, like days before.
Wow. So, where it is now, you had medications. You were taking medications. Were those medications, were they supposed to like shrink them to ease the pain and the bloating and all that? You were on medication.
Yes, true.
At one point.
Yes. Yes, throughout the clinic, during a couple of years I was going to the clinic, I've been treated several times. But as I've said before, because I developed anemia, every time I'm off the medication, then I'm back to square one. But while I'm on the medication, I'm okay for part of the time. Because I remember taking some medication, I think it was a birth control. It was in the injection form where I had to do it like every month, one dose every month. The first month I did it, it made the bleeding heavier. The pain came worse. The second time, it wasn't any much better. And so I had to come off that. At one time, the doctor said that I was like a leaking pipe, and he had to plug it. Because each time I see my period, the blood count went down. And then, in order to keep it up, they had to stop the period and then put me on iron supplements to build. But once I'm off that medication, I'm back to square one. So I have actually stopped using medications. I had to come off the clinic because they found something other than fibroids, and I had to leave that clinic. However, I started using herbs as a means, as a coping mechanism, because there's no cure. There's no cure for it. And if the only cure, based on my research, is that you have to do a hysterectomy. Take out all the womb and wherever it is. Because that's where it hosts. That's the host. That's where it grows. It grows in the womb. The womb is its host. So once you get rid of the womb, then you won't have a problem with it. But once the womb is there, then you will always have issues with it until you reach menopause, which I'm far along from there. Not even sure how soon I'll be experiencing that cycle of life.
Gotcha. So what if it's a case where, say you did surgery, remove the fibroids, like, wouldn't that be an option to say do the surgery, remove the fibroids, instead of thinking of a certain
the whole yes, there's the option of just removing the fibroids, yes, but based on where they were located, especially the one in the uterine lining, as I've said before, it would be risky. So they were contemplating just doing an hysterectomy altogether. But there are means of coping with it, getting it under control. It won't disappear completely, but you'll get it to a size where it's manageable to live, and that's what I've done. I've taken herbs. It has shrunk. Based on what I used to experience before, it has reduced in size. haven't done an ultrasound as yet to see how smaller they have become, but that will be done soon.
Okay.
And based on my experience during my period, it's not as severe as it used to be. I'm not bleeding as heavy as I used to, because at one point I was using up to almost 4 packs of overnight
Wow.
napkins for the cycle, for the entire cycle, sometimes 7 days, sometimes 8 days, sometimes up to 12 days.
Wow.
The first set of days heavier than the last set. And you never know when it's coming. You'll see signs, but you never know when it's coming, and it will just come down on you like a shower rain.
Anytime, yeah.
Yes, you'll be here. It's very embarrassing because you're afraid to go out. You're afraid to, even if you go out, you're afraid to stay out long, especially when you're on your period, and it made life very uncomfortable, very uncomfortable. And so most times I'm inside during that period. When my cycle is on, I'm mostly inside. If I have to go out, I'll make it quick.
Okay.
But for most part, it's an embarrassing thing. And I've come to realize that I'm not the only one going through it, because when you go to the clinic, there are a lot of females here. Hear their stories, some worse than yours. Because I remember being at the clinic once, and there was this individual that said she was bleeding for almost 3 months, which is terrible. And when you hear these experiences, it encourages you, because you're saying to yourself, well, I'm not the only one, and her case sounds worse than mine, so I'm not actually going through anything. Yes, it's comforting to know that others are there experiencing the same thing that you're experiencing, but it also hurts knowing that they're worse than, just imagine what they have to go through. The pain, for most part, is unbearable to some point. You won't even wish it on your worst enemy to feel some of the pain that you have to go through during your cycle. It keeps you in bed most of the time. You're restrained to your bed. You can barely do house duties, simple house duties, like even washing the plate, or even sitting on a pot, or even holding the broom. The simple home duties, it hampers you. And when it comes to the anemia, that's where most of it comes. That's where most of the difficulties comes in, because you're tired all the time.
Yeah, I take it
you're restless.
You just want to lay down.
Yes, you don't want to sleep. Yes, that's it. You just want to sleep. I've tried supplements, iron supplements, but for most parts I'm using herbs and going natural remedies, because the medication sometimes makes me get sick.
Yes, I was just
I don't know how it is.
I was just about to ask you, compared the medications that you get at the clinic or the doctors versus the herbal remedies that you take. How is it in comparison? You think the herbs, they work better?
I've seen more improvement with the herbs than the medication, because sometimes when I take the medication, I have headaches. I feel nauseous. But with the herbs, no, it's not an everyday thing. You can do it for a period of time, and then you break and then start again.
And it's more natural too.
Yes, and it has less effect on the body. It has less effect on my body. Herbs work different ways for different individuals, so you have to, based on my research, I choose a certain amount of herbs and combine them, and it works for me. maybe it won't work for someone else, but it works for me, and so I continue using the same set of herbs. And eating right is another thing.
Yeah.
But with financial restraints, you're not able to eat as healthy as you would want to.
Right.
But you try as best to avoid certain things like the fried foods, the processed foods, the saturated fats, the sugars. You try to avoid them as best as possible and eat a lot of fruits and vegetable. Beetroot has become my favorite friend. Beetroots and carrots have become my favorite friend. Wasn't a fan of it before, but now I am. So when I can't juice it, I shred it and I eat it.
Okay.
I cook it and I drink the water. I drink the water after boiling it and eat it. The food itself, eat it as food.
Right.
And water, which is not my friend either. I drink a lot of water, and I try to do simple exercise like walking. Walking is something I love to do, so that is my exercise on a daily basis. It helps with the pain and helps with the blood flow because I usually have cramping in my legs. So the walking kind of helps with the circulation, so I don't have the cramps that I used to have in my legs. And I've done a lot of reading, because knowledge is power, and the more you know, the better you're able to cope. And another thing I draw on is prayer. I pray a lot because going through this condition, it depresses you. And prayer and connecting with family and friends, letting them aware of your situation and what you're going through, and support, both financial and emotional support from these individuals help a lot too. And the only way to get that is to relay your situation or your condition to them, because if they don't know, they can't do anything about it. So it's good when you have family members who you can call and you can say, I'm not feeling well today, and they listen. And when they listen, just them listening to you and you're getting off certain things off your chest, helps you to cope. And Bible reading. Sometimes you just have to get something to take your mind off things, because it's never an easy road. And sometimes when you hear the experiences of others as well, it helps you to better cope with what you're going through.
Wow, clear. That's quite a lot. Hearing all that you've just said, what advice would you give to women, like women on a whole? What advice, with all that you're going through, what advice would you give to women?
Well, my advice to females, especially those who are of childbearing age, once your period looks strange, it's giving you too much pain, it's coming too heavy, or it's just making you very uncomfortable, seek medical advice. Be in the know, because knowledge is power. Once you know, then you'll know how to deal with it. And sharing with others, relating with others who are going through the same thing can help you to cope if it is that you find out that you're experiencing fibroids issue, because it helps to know that you're not the only one battling with it. And it helps to know that you're not the only one struggling with it. And sharing experience can make the journey a bit easier to deal with. Another thing is that we have children or teenage girls. They might not know, but usually these things give signs before it actually happens. So if they are teenagers and you see them having very heavy periods and having a lot of cramps, a lot of pain, seek medical attention. And the sooner the better, because the quicker you get it under control, the less pain and the less discomfort you'll have, because there are treatment, both medical treatment and herbal treatment, whichever is your choice. I choose herbal because I'm more comfortable with it. Mm-hmm. And others, doctors have remedies. They're not cures, but they help to alleviate whatever symptoms may arise. And just try and eat healthy. Mm-hmm. Try and eat healthy as you can, and as healthy as you can afford to, because it will help as a preventative measure and as a curative or a coping mechanism. Mm-hmm. So that's my advice to those females. And I have come to learn that it's mostly women of African descent that this condition affects. Mm-hmm. Mostly women of African descent. And once you're of that descent, then you're predisposed. So it's best to get checked once you see something strange happening with your cycle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Wow. I hope your experience help someone out there who's dealing with the same issues, and I really appreciate you coming on, Claire, and sharing your life, part of your life, um, with us.
It's well appreciated. You're welcome. And I also hope that someone will draw from this and indeed get some help wherever it is that you can get some help. No matter how small the help is, try and get some. Mm-hmm. Once it is that they discover that, yes, you're dealing with this condition, fibroids.
Wow. That was quite a lot just now, and I really do hope whatever the decision you make to either do surgery or to do a hysterectomy. I hope whatever decision you make, whatever you do, it works out for you, and you'll be in a better place. Once that is done, you'll be in a better place and you'll be feeling better. And I really appreciate you calling in, sharing with us, and like I said, all the best of luck. I'll keep you in my prayers, and take care, and thank you once again.
You're welcome, and thank you too.
Sure. All right. Have a good one.
Hey, you too, BB.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
All right.
And there we have it, Claire sharing her experience. If you have a story like this that you want to share on my session, you can give us a call at 774-239-1708. That was real deep. Still has me thinking. All right, thank you so much for joining us. Join me on my next session. Bye.